Do you guys remember, like, at this point, like years and years ago, probably 2014 to 2015 or so? No, it must have been 2015. I dressed up as Ramsay, and my girlfriend at the time was Reek. And she made a Reek banner, and she was all meek, and I was like this authoritative the whole night. It was fun. I liked being Ramsay.
I think we learned something about Taylor today.
Dude, I think I showed you guys pictures.
Very
of that.
abusive.
Yeah. Only in character.
Mm-hmm.
Only when I'm playing an abusive
Only when
character.
I'm playing the Taylor character.
He's like at home, he puts on his Ramsay jacket on a random not Halloween night, like, now I can hit you.
Exactly.
Yeah, after I get out of the shower,
Please,
I'm naked.
not the
I just
Ramsay
put that
jacket.
vest on. I don't have it anymore. All that stuff's long gone. I wish I had it. I basically bought, if I recall, it was like a barbarian style costume that was modified to to look more like
Ramsay was
light
such
armor
a character. Like, I remember, my dad's only ever seen one episode of Game of Thrones, and it's the Battle of the Bastards. And I'm like loading him up with exposition.
That was the episode that Woody stopped liking the show.
I think he has mixed feelings on like the plot armor that Jon Snow exhibits.
Yeah, that's the episode, Woody.
And look, I have a little bit.
Came back.
No,
you don't remember saying that, Woody? You don't remember saying you fucking lied to me on your own podcast, eh?
Wait, I have a lot of thoughts on this show. It's not that simple. Battle of the Bastards is one where I got frustrated at Jon Snow's plot armor. I mean, he's in the middle. There's like 250 people surrounding him in a circle trying to kill him. He's fine. He's fine. It's not a problem. Nothing is a problem. He can literally die and he's fine.
The arrows landing around him.
Having said that, we got really frustrated with especially the last two seasons.
Oh, big time.
If you rewatch Game of Thrones, which I think I'm the only person to have done, it gets better. It's better because if
you don't wait a fucking year
waiting a year and a half for like 6 shows makes you want each one of them to be the first Star Wars, some sort of groundbreaking cultural movement. But if you're just like, let's watch 3 of them tonight, then
but it wasn't meant to be a popcorn show. Like, it's meant to have a thorough history and lore and prophecies.
The character assassination, dude. What they did to Jaime Lannister alone is abominable. His character had been redeemed. He was there. He had come full circle from.
I can't believe they handled Jaime the way they did. Absurd.
To have him leave Brienne and go back and just die in the rubble with his sister was
Daenerys
nonsense.
was the fucking
Daenerys
worst.
Like going like mean face.
They carried. She did so many things for years, and then they were like, "But bitches can be crazy,
dude."
And that's the only thing that they did.
She was always kind of crazy.
But like, she wasn't the main crazy eunuch in the way she was that way. It was
Varys.
so weird.
No. The black kid, the brown guy who's like doesn't have a dick.
Worm,
Washington.
Grey Worm.
All right, so let's just talk about some of the like ridiculous plot holes. At the end, obviously, Jon Snow kills Daenerys, and it's this huge letdown. And Wormtongue is like, I'm mad at you, guy I've known for 3 weeks who just killed my queen. You know what? Trial. And for your judges, your family and countrymen. Like, that's so counter to what.
And then they're like, go back to the wall.
He should have had
we brought you back to life for nothing. Now go back to the wall. That's so fucking weird.
That's true. Bringing Jon Snow back to life at all was like had no.
It was so weird. It didn't.
Him being a Targaryen
anything.
didn't matter. Him being a Targaryen played not into the plot at all.
Yeah.
Remember the horn? Remember the magic horn? Nothing to do with the plot. Remember the babies that were given to the White Walkers? Nothing to do with the plot. None. The first scene in the first book, the thing that grabbed me when I watched it and when I read it the first time, it's I don't think it's Benjen Stark, but it might be. I think
it is.
I think it's him and his men being ambushed and slowly taken out like the Predator by a White Walker. And you're like, holy shit, there's some supernatural shit. And then it's hundreds of pages before they touch supernatural again. I loved that. It's like, this is intrigue and that's lies and murder.
That's why it sucked in the last season when they were like, okay, let's get that out of the way so we can go back to them fighting. It's like, no, that was the thing that was supposed to go on at the end.
The magic
was the big thing.
I've been waiting for the magic.
The magic was like the build up being like, oh yeah, and then she killed the White Walker, and then it's like, oh yeah, let's go back to the usual shit. And it's like, no, that was the most important.
Let me get this in real quick. Like a big part of the first season was that the magic that once existed in this realm and had dried up has returned. And I always took it to be maybe that comet is doing it literally, or maybe it's a harbinger of that change. Either way, it's like magic has come back in the world. That's how these dragon eggs that were dormant now hatch. That's how like all of these various gods are now coming back into power. Like all those gods are real. Like the one of the Lord of Light, he did some miracles. Shit. The whatever dark magic is making the Arya Starks like ninja buddies like be able to change their faces. That's magic. And so the world is changing. And so the culmination of the whole thing has to involve so much magic. I need Jon Snow to like do a magic thing. I need him to draw Luke Skywalker's glowing blade. I needed his sword to glow.
Yeah, I needed that too. That's literally.
I needed to like.
They did such a setup for the easiest tropes.
Yeah.
Like such a setup to like have all like them, Jon, Daenerys, and Tyrion each on a dragon's back riding in as like weird half brother sister type family.
You need that line where the
like
music is building and we just lost some main characters and they're like, only a Targaryen can ride. And that's when we get Tyrion's back. I wanted Tyrion's backstory.
And they built up for all of this stuff.
They did. They planted the seeds in the book in particular, and just none of it came to fruition.
One of my favorite.
It was a spit in the face of an end of a show. The last 2 seasons are horseshit.
Wait a minute.
They should be in prison.
They should have let Jon Snow die. That twist, that change would have done so much to save it.
It would have
when
done
Ned
nothing.
Stark died, people were captured. When the Red Wedding happened, it's considered the best episode of the whole thing. And then Jon Snow just.
But it's not
his
automatically
refusal to die ruined.
It's not automatically that they die, so it was good. Those were like super important parts, and
Jon Snow was super important.
Yeah, but
I'm aware of that.
It was
but like if they had built Jon Snow up to be the prince that was promised, if they had built Jon Snow up to be our hope, and we watched him for 6 years, and then he dies. And we watch his dumbass sister Sansa try to pick up the pieces. We watch Arya come into her own and start standing on her own 2 feet and leading the family.
But Daenerys
that would have
still
been
going to go. Daenerys, it would be better, but it would still be shit. Daenerys would still go crazy. The ending would still be like this weird jumbled, like Jaime Lannister going back. Like it would have been.
It's so upsetting.
It still would have. It wouldn't have been saved by that. But
it wouldn't have been saved.
It would have been better. They could have just killed him at that point. I would have been annoyed because I wanted a lot for Jon Snow, but I was way more annoyed when he survived they couldn't. And nothing happened.
But when everyone argues that they did all this stuff to build up Jon Snow and then it failed to meet expectations, it's like that. They should have just killed him.
Yeah.
Like they could have built him up like they did Robb Stark. They built that guy up. When Ned dropped, he was like, suddenly his leadership comes through. Suddenly he's winning battle after battle.
They could have done what they did, but I'd rather he just had like a glowing sword.
In the overall lore,
I wanted a silly fantasy tropey old school thing that like I'm like, he's the guy
Robb
now.
Stark dying, because when Jon Snow wasn't Robb Stark or one of these other characters, he was solid, and a lot of the weight of the prophecies that had been talked about in all the books leading up centered around Jon. And so you can't eliminate Jon entirely, because then that means that all those prophecies prior are meaningless. And so unlike when Robb Stark dies or Ned dies, like those were capturing.
You can both have your cake here, though. Like you can both have what you want, because Taylor's right. There's too much foundation built up on Jon Snow. But at the same time, you can kill him.
Logic of that.
The twist could be that Jon Snow is the guy who has to die to make the sword magical. Like he could tell like.
That would make more sense than what the show is, because
anything would
not be anything. Why would there be a prophecy of him?
I want it. Here's what I want.
It's because they abandoned the show.
Throws them both in prison.
We got that whole backstory. We got that whole backstory of Jon Snow being a Targaryen, and that was a mind blower of an episode. Even because I'd read the books, I knew what was coming. It was still so cool to see it happen, and to have the characters have that realization that he's a Targaryen. I needed Tyrion to have the exact same kind of scene where we found out his mother cheated on Tywin with the Lannister, and that he's the last dragon rider. So at the end,
that dragon,
I need there to be a little dragon for him.
The dragon scene where the dragon didn't
like the dragon they disrespected the whole way through. Like, no one can even mount a dragon of that size. What use is he? And they like slap the dragon and goes. Like, it doesn't get it as all.
But we had a scene where Tyrion had the dragon come up to him and not attack him, and it was really cool. Like, I always thought the insinuation was that he was a Targaryen.
I needed him to get on that fucking dragon.
Me too. I thought
because
I needed it to be the White Walkers literally were at King's Landing, but like
Frozen
Daenerys and Dothraki,
King's Landing,
yeah,
and the snow,
and that's when
so deep the walls are moot point,
and that's when the Dothraki cross the water, and they come, all three of them with the dragons, and they're burning this shit,
the snow.
And then like houses join together that wouldn't have joined together. Instead of it was like, let's get all the ice zombies that we built up so much out of the way in one episode, a bad one. And then, now let's go back to and it was just fucking bizarre. I don't even like talking about this shit.
It's upsetting, right? It's like going back in a bad relationship and being and then she could have not been a piece of shit and it would have been so great.
It's reminding me of Star Wars, and like Star Wars, the last episode, Rise of the Skywalker, just changed how I consume media entirely. I never invest emotionally into something.
Was that the second one or the third one?
The third one. The second one. The second one, I was like, let them cook. I know a lot of people hated the second one, but I would never get up. I've never done this other than Transformers 2. Never would I get up in the middle of a story and walk out before Act 3. If they did some shit, I'm like, you better explain yourself. So when the next one didn't explain itself, all of them were fucked. But the worst thing is that like the last one was just such a stupid fucking movie. Like, what's crazy is like, who gives a fuck about Ant-Man? Nobody gives a fuck about Ant-Man, but they took Ant-Man in this movie like 8 years before Endgame and had him be this pinnacle moment in that movie, because all the movies were set up in a way that you would be like, oh shit, Ant-Man's still in the quantum zone. And now Ant-Man is this crucial moment in Endgame and Avengers there at the end. Whereas someone like Luke Skywalker, they were so blasé about his story that one movie didn't know what the movie before it was doing. Like in Last Jedi, at the end of Force Awakens, he's supposed to turn on the lightsaber. When she gives him the lightsaber, he's supposed to turn it on, and it credits end. And I can imagine that would have been pretty cool. JJ, he has a good visionary like that. But then Rian Johnson was like, oh, in my movie, he throws it over his shoulder. And so they have to change that scene. And I'm kind of like, what are you fucking idiots doing, bro? It's Star Wars. You should have had one guy write everything or whatever. You should have had the whole story, but they kind of just like made it up as they went along. And they both talk about this moment, how Rian Johnson didn't know how that one ended. And then the guy who was supposed to do the last one, he backed out because he's like, fuck this mess. And so JJ came in, and JJ just did like fucking, it was like Reddit's best hits of what would be the best thing in the movie. And I thought about it. I was like, you know what? I'm done like letting my level of hypeness and excitement for something. I'm done putting it in the hands of some Jew. No, seriously, I'm not gonna take my level of enjoyment and hype and put it in some guy's hands who's gonna be like, and then Daenerys is just a crazy bitch.
No, do the voice.
My level of hypeness will never get to the levels that it once did. But
they've let me down too many times.
Exactly, but now
you know, the last time, like this might not resonate with you. Are you a Star Trek guy at all?
Yeah.
Yeah, he is.
Right.
You guys have
the third season of Star Trek.
Yeah, Taylor
Picard.
remembers every conversation he hated.
Did you see?
I remember all the things I'm disinterested in that you guys have bandied about for hours.
Did you watch the third season of Picard?
No.
It's the most recent time that I've actually been blown away and gotten so much more than I ever expected. The first two seasons of Picard, he's just this old bumbling man, and the story is silly, and the side characters don't make sense, and people are saying the F word for some reason. Is this Picard is the one where they get a Borg girl on their ship and she connects to there's a whole bunch of bullshit with that. Yeah, it's like season 2.
Is it the F
season?
I didn't mind that. I didn't mind that.
Season 3, they do they give you what you wanted in season 1, which is a reboot of Star Trek: The Next Generation. Get the band back together, get them on the old Enterprise, because like it's the only ship not taken over by AI, and ride like in like the fucking cavalry and fight the Borg while like Geordi flies the ship and makes it do whirly doos.
What character was calling the other one?
No,
it doesn't seem very Star Trek.
Fuck was the F word.
Oh, you said F word.
It is the F word. For Star Trek, the F word is fuck. They don't curse in Star Trek usually. So
it was Taylor.
Yeah, I thought that
they don't say that.
Star Trek is very accepting toward the
everyone.
The F word or the F bomb is fuck. The one you're thinking of is the F slur.
Yeah,
F slur. I hate that.
Yeah, get your bigotry right. All right, like I expect.
Well, I was picturing like Captain Kirk being like, "Data, why are you such a like?
Wesley,
why can't you just be?"
Wesley,